Hi, welcome to Off Script. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Today on the show, it's the Oscars, Andy. We did it, 2023.
That's right.
We're maybe a little
we're
late
a
to the
little late,
party.
but we're here.
Listen, life happens. All right. And hey, you haven't heard our opinions on the Oscars, which are really the ones that matter the most. We're also talking about Scream 6, hot takes on Scream 6. Andy and I saw Scream 5 for the show. We liked it. We've seen Scream 6. You'll hear about it. We're going to talk about Creed 3, MGM, and Amazon, and this interesting kind of relationship that's come out since we have seen the film and heard about it. We're going to talk about the Little Mermaid trailer. And before all that, we need to get to the news. First thing this week, James Gunn is doing a Superman movie. This was kind of rumored a little while ago after James Gunn took over as creative head of DC Studios, creative CEO, really. And now he was looking at a script and it wasn't really sure if he was going to do anything with it, but it seems like he is intending on directing the new Superman film. Big step up from Guardians of the Galaxy, Andy.
Yes, this is going to be his first foray into like a major comic book character for both Marvel and DC. It's exciting stuff. He was a little hesitant to take this on. He was apparently offered a Superman movie before doing the Suicide Squad, but didn't like something about it. The project, turned it down, ended up not doing it. And he's written the script himself. And so he's going to be taking it on, and it's exciting times because we weren't real sure who was going to direct this movie.
Yeah, it's going to be Gunn's first time directing, like, an A-list superhero. Like, even as much as we like the Guardians, like, they're a little B tier, right? Like, but Superman is like the one. Like, it is the shining crown of the flagship of DC Studios. It is kind of their big thing, right? He's the superhero. So it's definitely a step up. But I think if anything, it's going to be ideally like a bit of a reflection of what Gunn wants to do with the studio, right, and where he wants to take DC. When he turned down apparently his first approach for a Superman movie before he did Suicide Squad for Warner's, he said, "quote I initially said no to Superman because I didn't have a way in that felt unique and fun and emotional that gave Superman the dignity he deserved." And James Gunn's movies are uniquely fun and emotional. Same with Peacemaker, his DC show. Like, so I think he's going to do something cool with the character. I don't know what the plot's going to be. Is there something about that, Andy? I thought there was something about family.
No, we don't know much. He is going to kind of focus on what makes Superman, both his upbringing on Earth with his earthly parents and some of his Kryptonian parents as well, being like aristocrats, royalty, whatever. And then there's another line in there about being kind in a world where kindness is not really held up as a virtue anymore. So kind of what we know Superman to be, for an inspiring figure.
Last notable kind of thing on this, Superman will not be played by Henry Cavill. If you missed our episode a couple weeks ago and we talked about this, Henry Cavill is out as Superman. He's not doing it, which is weird because Henry Cavill is kind of a beloved Superman. I think general audiences agree he's solid. So I don't know who it's going to be yet, right? We don't have a lead on who new Soup is.
No, nothing. And this movie's 2.5 years away. We're probably not going to get any casting news for at least another year or so.
Yeah. I don't think we have a formal release date yet. Do we?
July. It's July 2025.
Okay. July 11th, 2025. Hang tight. Subscribe to Off Script to hear our review of Superman Legacy. Our next story, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein has got quite the cast list. He's making Frankenstein for Netflix, and this is following up his Pinocchio movie that just got nominated for an Academy Award for won. Jesus, it just won Best Animated Feature. We'll talk about the Academy Awards here at the end.
Spoiler one.
But spoiler one, yeah. But his next feature is Frankenstein, something he's always wanted to adopt. Infamous monster movie fan, and they just announced a certain somebody that I think is rounding out a really awesome cast.
Right. So Oscar Isaac, Andrew Garfield, and Mia Goth are all attached to this project. We're not sure who's playing who. Could be Andrew Garfield, might be Frankenstein, could be Oscar Isaac, or they could swap. One could be the mad scientist. Who knows what Mia Goth is doing? But this is pretty exciting. This is right at home where Guillermo del Toro loves monster movies. When you think back to things like Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water, and even Pinocchio. He loves to tell a story involving monsters or develop stories around monster and kind of these mythical figures. Frankenstein has been adapted many times, sometimes well, sometimes not. But this would be pretty exciting stuff. And Netflix can be hit or miss, but generally when someone like a great director like Del Toro takes the helm, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah, along with like a great cast. Andrew Garfield, I think, is often remembered as like, oh yeah, he did Spider-Man, right? But he also caught an Oscar nom for Tick Tick Boom on Netflix. So he's an Oscar-nominated actor. So everybody remember, like Andrew Garfield is no kid, like being Spider-Man. Like he's doing bigger things, just in like more selective ways. Oscar Isaac, meanwhile, is doing really cool things, and also picking and choosing. But Mia Goth is on the come up, big time, as a formal Scream Queen. If you haven't watched X, if you haven't watched Pearl, we've reviewed both of those films. She's really great. We also took a look at her last feature, Cronenberg, Infinity Pool, which she was, a little over the top in, but ultimately really good. And Del Toro has a knack, I think, for casting really great leads in his movies, especially kind of like the thin, frail, screaming female lead, or somebody at least that's a bit more emotional, but not so physical, right? Think of like Mia Wasikowska in Crimson Peak in 2015, or Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water, which he won an Oscar for in 2017. Like, my man is pretty good at that. Like, and so if that's what Mia Goth is doing, like, I don't know if he could have picked a better person right now, like who's into really weird projects, who really goes for it on screen. Like, I think she's an awesome pick. Maybe Jenna Ortega, but like she might be busy doing Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a great cast, great director. It's got all the elements of a really great horror movie. I wouldn't trust this property in very many people's hands, but this is exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And more on that in the future, like as it comes around. We definitely want to watch what Guillermo del Toro is doing, as well as everybody else in it, including Mia Goth. With that being said, the box office this week, we need to talk about Shazam: Fury of the Gods is kind of catching heat for a poor opening, and on paper, it's not bad, right? At $30.5 million domestic is not a bad opening for a movie. Why are people saying Shazam is bombing? What's happening here?
Well, it opened way under the first one. The first one opened up to over 50 million in the opening weekend. This one opened at 30 million. That's a huge decrease, and also is a very expensive film. Probably $250 million when you include marketing costs. So it's got to make a lot of money, and it's not going to happen. It's going to be kind of a bomb here, and it just it underperformed, and it underperformed even compared to things that came out during the pandemic. So it's not looking good for Shazam.
Shazam, Hollywood Reporter says it great here. Shazam 2's Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a ho-hum 54%. Meanwhile, the first film had a 90, which was pretty outstanding. They ran Rotten Tomatoes logos on advertisements for it when it was in theaters. Hey, certified fresh, 90. This one, meanwhile, does not have that luxury. People seem pretty split on it. And like we've talked about before, when a movie approaches that like magical 50 on Rotten, it means critics are perfectly split. They either like it or they don't, like 100% one way or the other. And this movie's kind of getting there, right? It seems like somebody likes it. I actually haven't seen it yet. Andy has. I know we're going to review it next week, Andy, but like, just, I don't know, initial impressions. Are you surprised by this news, having actually seen the movie?
Not really. The trailer didn't get me excited, didn't get me hyped. It just didn't get me excited about the character, the property, the story, any of that. It looked kind of bad, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought it was. And there are a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot of things that don't work as well. So I'm not surprised that it's kind of not connecting with audiences.
Yeah, come back next week for our full review. Andy will get more into it. But that being said, this does also follow like Black Adam, and I do wonder like how that may have impacted this one's path to success, because it's pretty different. And Shazam doesn't show up in Black Adam's marketing, and Black Adam doesn't show up in Shazam's marketing. But like they're definitely like the same suits, right? And the same kind of origin story. And
Basically,
when you really look at it, yeah, they're from the same place in the comics. So like, what do you think Black Adam did to this? I guess is what I'm asking.
one of the things we know that I just learned recently is that The Rock had his hand in the DC cookie jar for quite a while. He would not He refused to appear in this movie. He only wants to appear in movies with like Superman with big characters. Didn't want to appear in Shazam 2. He also didn't want Shazam to show up in his movie because again, he only wants top A-list. Somehow he let Cyclone and Atom Smasher in his movie, but not Shazam. So that's definitely a hurting thing because Black Adam is like the titular nemesis of Shazam, the way Lex Luthor is for Superman, and so you got your main nemesis, and he's not in any of the movies he should be in.
Yeah, I think like in that way, Black Adam hurts this feature because it would have been so much cooler if Shazam 2 had been in all the ads. He's fighting Dwayne Johnson, Black Adam. I'd have been like, okay, like that's gonna be neat. Black Adam just had a movie. Like it would have been so much tighter as like a kind of like pair of films that come together. But it just didn't happen. And from what we're hearing, it's because Dwayne Johnson just could not bear the thought of showing up next to Billy Batson or Zachary Levi. Like, I tremendous bag fumble all around, like huge fumbling of the bag. Uh, any other thoughts on this, Andy? I know we should move on to Scream 6.
Yeah, I mean, there's been the director and some of the cast members have been really defensive of the film and the kind of reception and tomato score, but it's like, man, sometimes it's just bad, or sometimes you just make like something that's mediocre, and that's what it is. There's no excuses for it.
Yeah, and that's we'll talk about it more next week. Tune in next week for a review of Shazam 2.
They've given too much away.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hey, I haven't seen it yet. I might come out real strong for it. I'm seeing it in just a couple of days. Anyway, tune in for that. With that, we need to get to Scream 6. We've gone far too long on news. We got Oscar stuff to get to. All right, so Scream 6. Here we go. I'm going to be taking the summary on this. Please excuse my clumsy delivery. The movie is Scream 6. So Scream 6 is the follow-up to Scream 5, which was a bit of a kind of a soft reboot of the Scream franchise. Scream originally had 4 films, starting with Wes Craven, Scream 1, 2, and 3. And this comes from former Scream directors and directors of Ready or Not, horror pair, Matt Bertinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. These two put together this movie. It stars our Carpenter sisters from Scream 5, played by Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, as they travel to New York. All right, out of a small town into the big city. When one fateful night, they get a call from Ghostface, and it's somebody who's playing Ghostface, and they got to figure out who it is and survive the night. Hopefully, with their friends in tow, and a couple of notable cameos from former Scream stars Courtney Cox and Hayden Panettiere, to ultimately discover who this Ghostface is and put an end to their ill-gotten means before everybody dies. Right? It's Scream. Like I told Andy before we got started, I said, God, I almost don't know how to summarize this because it's kind of too simple, but I want to give it air. The movie is Scream 6. Andy, what'd you think?
Man, well, I wanted to start off by saying we really liked Scream 5, like a lot more than I thought it was going to be. It was a good revival of the franchise. You got new characters. There were some good scares, some good kills. Everyone got excited about it. This has been kind of a big letdown. There is just it has a ton of problems. Story, plot, characters, too many characters. Just lots of issues that we'll get into. I don't just want to rant on it just now, but I was pretty disappointed, and I had been pretty excited for this to kind of see this in a new setting and kind of renewed interest in the Scream franchise. But I was a little disappointed. But it's done very well financially. It's made about 130 million on a budget of $30 million, so it's a huge hit. So we're definitely going to get 5 more of these movies.
Don't sound so cynical. All right. Yeah. From what we've read, people seem to generally like this movie. It's got a certified fresh score of 77%. Audience score gave it a 92 on Rotten. All right. Every Reddit thread I've looked at, people like Scream 6. every Twitter thread I've seen, people seem to like Scream 6. And I think maybe Andy and I we were looking forward to something that's just a little bit not the shape of what this movie is. Scream 5 had a really interesting task in front of it, right? Like coming off of Scream 4, which was Wes Craven's final film, it had to find a new voice for the series in a new director and a new creative lead. It had to try to bring back, the excitement of Ghostface, who was ultimately a pretty simple slasher. And you have to tackle like the new meta of horror movies. Like that's what Scream 1 was all about. It was about like making an anti-slasher kind of slasher movie that plays on the rules and has a character who talks on the phone about the rules of horror movies, right? And like that's difficult to do. And like in a funny way, Scream 5 surprised us because it so finely threads that needle and comes out as like a clever answer to the question, how do you reboot Scream? And it actually works really well, and it's got a pretty good cast, and the script's a little silly, but ultimately like it gets over some exciting moments. Scream 5's good. And Scream 6 is not that movie. Scream 6 is much more traditional, like Scream slasher, because it no longer has to tackle this question of like, how do you reboot the Scream series? It's just running in the direction that it thinks we'll like best. And Andy and I got left out in the cold on this one. At least I did. Like it just did not go the way I thought it was going to go, which was a bummer. And I think it hurts it really bad for me, who's not traditionally a Scream fan.
Yeah, where should we kind of take off on this?
So let's start with our setting. I think that's the best way to go, right? Because it's Scream in New York, baby. New York's just as much a character as everybody else. Like New York City is the place where things are happening, and Jenna Ortega's character is going to college, and Melissa Barrera's character, her older sister, has kind of come with her because she can't get over this trauma that Ghostface is a thing that happened. And in Scream 5, bit of a spoiler for Scream 5, an older movie, it had been her boyfriend all along, like, oh my God. And that was somebody really close to her. So she feels like she can't let people in. Meanwhile, the other friends from the movie have all moved in with them. Like this core four, they call themselves, have all just come over.
They're all going to college together.
That's right. They're all going to college together. Just transpose them into this movie. Great. And one night they get a call, and it's Ghostface. And there's a story on the news that a young woman's been brutally murdered in an alley, and it looks like there was a Ghostface mask. And so our core four have to obviously, follow the procedure, go to the police, file a report, meet an interesting FBI agent played by Hayden Panettiere from her character from Scream 4, run into Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers, the reporter from the previous Scream movies. And then like slowly start to try to eliminate who it might be, a bit of a whodunit that all of the Scream movies like to embrace. And I think for a plot that's probably good enough to get you guys down the road without getting into spoiler territory. It just is not like, I don't know. It felt too samey to me. It felt too normal to me. And like, it's exactly what you see in the trailers. I didn't feel at all like it didn't do anything clever.
Right.
And I don't know if you got that impression. It was just kind of like bland to me.
Yeah, it's never scary at any point. Like you're never scared for anyone. It's not thrilling. They're supposed to. There's this kind of bit in the trailer where they're trying to crawl between apartments on the shaky ladder, and it's just when you get to that scene, it's just not thrilling. Like you don't care. You're not invested in these characters enough, and part of the reason is that all of New York is in this movie. Like there's like 13 people on the poster for this. And part of that is to like keep you guessing on who's the big bad guy. But it's just, there's too many people. And you don't really care about them. And the plot is all over the place. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Once like the truths are revealed and things, the lead up to him just is nonsensical. And it's like they kind of thought of some interesting scenarios or some things that might be fun or scary, and then just like tried to put them together, and it doesn't really work. There's this whole thing about like a ghost face shrine, which we've seen in the trailer, and it's just it's so bizarre. Like the first one, or the previous one, the fifth Scream 5 felt a little more grounded, at least, because it was like in a town, and People are getting killed in normal places, but this is just all over the place. And it's starting to feel a little bit like Star Wars, where it's like, oh, it's leaning heavily on the nostalgia and the
Yeah.
recognition of older versions of this
Yeah.
series, because people are like, oh, I remember that from Scream 2, or I remember that from the original Scream.
Yeah, that's something I heard a lot, like from Scream fans, that like this movie does do a lot of clever nods to like Scream 2. Structurally, there's a lot of like something to do with like the number of kills, and a couple of the kills are like directly referencing Scream 2, and there's certain plot elements that I didn't notice like in the theater that apparently have really jumped out to Scream fans. And so that's worth mentioning. If you're a Scream fan, like maybe you get more out of this than we did. But like it also, I think, suffers the same problem as Scream 2 structurally, in that it just feels like a generic slasher movie. Like in an effort to try to be meta, Scream 2 overstepped the line, like, and kind of fell back on itself. But this movie like goes the opposite way. It takes what Scream 5 did and shakes off all of that trappings of how do we start over Scream with an entirely new cast of characters, which was genuinely, pretty interesting in the first one, and just says, nope, we're locking down every single little thing that kind of worked, and we're running straight forward with it, and it's going to be cool because you're going to like that your favorites are here. And that obviously like does not work great with the lack of somebody like Sidney Prescott, right, and F. Campbell, who has not come back for this movie because she said the pay sucked. Good for her. But I think like that was probably the better choice structurally. Like I don't need to see old Scream characters anymore, and I don't need to see Scream characters telling me about things that happen in other Scream movies. It feels so procedural, and this movie like has that is that to a T. Like it's just everything you think would happen naturally is what happens. Oh, we got a call from the killer. We better go to the police. For some reason the police can't help us. Great. Well, we better head back to the apartment. Oh no, something's happening at the apartment. Like, well, we better do this. Dude. Like, it turns into this like paint by number schlock that I feel like would have had like Wes Craven rolling it over in his freaking grave. Like, and maybe that's a misread, right? Like, I'm not the most diehard Scream franchise like lover, but this one just felt like a misstep, and it's surprising to see so many people say it's not, that it's really something else. I feel like I'm missing the mark.
Right. One of the things that made the original Scream so special is that you really didn't know who was going to die at any point, because, the big thing, they kill off Drew Barrymore in the opening scene, and she's like on the poster. She's a big part of the marketing. Like, people had no idea. We thought you even thought maybe she's going to be the final girl.
She'll come back.
And yeah. And then other people sometimes like kind of randomly almost get killed in that movie. And in this, you got your main characters, and there's so much plot armor. There's so many stabbings that happen in this. So many people get stabbed multiple times, and it's like they just shrug it off. It's like, ow, oh man, that sucks. And it's like they're fine the next scene. And it was like, Mason Gooding's character, he plays, I can't remember his name.
Chad Meeks
Chad.
Martin.
Yeah, Chad. Of course, he gets, in Scream 5, he gets stabbed up a bunch, doesn't die. And it was like, you would be probably disabled or like chronically in pain or ill your whole life.
You would never walk again. Yeah, and you'd have an opioid addiction.
Yeah. And he's fine in this movie. And then again, lots of stabbings, and everyone just kind of shrugs it off. And there's way too many people in this, and it's not clever. It's not interesting. It's just kind of it like checks the get your bingo card and play screambo and just try to fill out, oh, there's Ghostface, oh, he stabbed someone. And it's just, and the other thing, the settings, when we talk about that, it's in New York. It could be anywhere. There's nothing New York about this other than outside of the subway. There's nothing like it could have taken place in Dallas on the light rail. Like, there's nothing significant about it. They don't go to any like landmarks. They're not in Central Park. They don't have a chase at the Empire State Building or anything like that. Nothing that makes setting it in New York anything special.
Yeah, those are two like really big places this movie misses. Like number one, it is a terrible New York film. It is not at all good at representing New York. The whole thing was shot in Canada, like which is fine, but like you can't put New York on the poster and do the I Heart NY stuff and like really step on Ghostface in the city and then it be a terrible New York movie. Like just a tremendous miss. But more importantly, like, and I think one of the things that really hurts this movie, I personally, the kills are lame. Like a lot of the kills are lame in Scream Six. Like they're graphic, sure, and there are a couple sequences. One infamously in one of the teasers where Ghostface has a shotgun in a convenience store. That in like one other bit are like pretty good, but otherwise, a lot of them are really inconsequential. I was trying to count and think how many kills are in this movie, and there's actually I went back and looked. There's usually more than the other Scream movies. It's high on the list. I don't think it has the most, but
There's
it's like
lots
right
of
next to it.
stabs, but just not
But
finishing the job.
yeah, and then additionally, a lot of those kills are totally inconsequential to the plot. It's like if Ghostface hopped in a Hummer and ran down 8 people in the opening minutes, and then it was like, "All right, now here's the rest of the movie." Like, yeah, it gets over because it's a big number, but they don't affect the plot enough to matter, and it just leaves you feeling kind of tasteless. Like to me, a tasteless experience.
Yeah, like you said, the no one knew who was gonna die in the first one. Maybe they do that in the second. I don't remember like 2 and 3. But
Me
there
neither.
seems like to be a whole lot of plot armor, and yeah, nothing's really super consequential. No one that you really know, and again, there's too many. There's way too many people in this movie. Oh my gosh. And again, that's part to throw you off, but you don't care about any of these characters. You're not really scared, and then sometimes you're just in scenarios out of nowhere. Like Ghostface just kind of conveniently pops up, and it's a lot of times you're like, well, how did he get there? And how did he know where they would be? Like, there's a whole lot of that. I thought this was going to
Yes.
be like Ghostface terrorizing New York. Like, like the Carpenter sisters weren't going to be the main, whatever
Sure.
targets here. But of course, it seems to always be about them, at least this franchise. And yeah, it's just kind of all over the place. I'm trying my
It
best not
is.
to spoil it.
I know. I know. Like it's a funny thing. Like ultimately, I think there are things in Scream Six that work, right? Like there are a few cool set pieces. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are both great. I told Andy after we watched this, I'm like, God, the greatest thing the Scream producers did is not kill off Jenna Ortega's character in Scream 5 before she blew up, because now she's in X and she's in Wednesday and people love her. She's the greatest pick for this series. Like they should hang on to her
Yeah,
for as long as they can. Like it's there's a couple decent kills. Like it's not that bad. I think if you're a Scream fan, you'll probably be much warmer on it than we are. But like I don't know, man. I really thought this movie was going to be just a bit more clever than it was, and I was surprised at how unclever it intentionally is, with the guise of, oh, we're being cute and we're being funny about the Scream franchise, and it's just a total miss in my opinion.
yeah.
Any other
It
thoughts or
reminds
recommendations? I don't know.
well, it reminds
Go
me of
ahead.
things like if you're a fan of like all 6 or 7 Freddy Krueger movies, or all the Jason movies, or all the Hellraiser movies. It's like
Yeah,
if you're that kind of devoted fan to the property, you're probably going to enjoy it. But if you're not,
yeah,
it's kind of tough. It's incoherent, so much of it.
yeah. Any other thoughts for recommendations?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Scream Six?
I would say hard pass, unless you're a big Scream fan. If you've seen all of them, you watch them multiple times, you want to see how the story keeps going, you're probably interested in it. But if you're not, it's not scary. It's not thrilling. It's not interesting. It seems like everyone's got plot armor. A lot of it's kind of predictable, or just so kind of crazily twisted that it doesn't make any sense at the same time. Someone described this as Scooby Doo, which really made me laugh. But I would say pass.
Yeah, same pass. You Andy's totally right. You do get the like the mystery gang like from Scooby Doo kind of feeling, especially with this like core four they've kind of got built up here. But like clever homages and like cutesy runarounds for actual slashers is not a good movie makes. Like it just does not add up to more than the sum of its parts. It's really simple. I do not think this movie, despite I forget who said it. One of these reviewers said it's a total scream. It's not. It's it's a total swing and a
Not at
miss.
all.
Scream 6. It's fine. That's my answer. And hey, if you're a Scream fan and we totally missed the mark on this, like please write in, mail at oscarfilmreview.com, comment on this video wherever you see it, whatever, write a review on iTunes. Just throw 5 stars on it and let us know like if this movie is totally better and we missed the mark. Cause like I really just I don't know. I feel like I've become embittered in my cold opinion, like on this movie by everybody else's ice cold reviews. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about Scream 6, but what I do know about is the death of cinema, which we need to talk about. This week we're doing a bit of a half and half. All right. Like normally at the like older listeners of the show will know we either do the death of cinema in the middle of things or we do the trailer park. We're talking about trailer stuff. But this week we're doing a little both because we only have one trailer and we have kind of a small story and we thought why not? You know, we'll change it up. So Andy, you want to tell people what we're getting into here?
Yes. So it's time for the death of cinema. And we're talking about this story out of the Hollywood Reporter. Creed 3 delivers first knockout punch in the theatrical ring. So Creed 3 did very well. It's made over $200 million globally now. And it's kind of cementing this strategy from Amazon, who bought MGM and owns the rights, that they're going to play both sides of the streaming and theatrical kind of debate. Because Amazon Prime, that service exists, and then they're going to be releasing things there, but then also taking theatrical, doing theatrical features when it kind of makes sense. And so they're committing to both, and that's a good thing for the theaters. For instance, the Nike movie Air, which comes out in a couple months, is also getting a theatrical release, and that was originally just going to go straight to Prime.
I
Zach,
guess
for
that's where
more.
I should jump in. You're on a roll. I'm sorry. I was listening to your flow. No, Amazon is making some big moves in theatrical space, and it's not like unheard of in the industry. Like it might sound a little weird that like the company who's shipping cardboard boxes all over the world and flying William Shatner to the moon is like getting into making their own movies. Like they obviously do Amazon Studios where they produce things for Prime Video directly, shows like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and I don't know, Jack Ryan. But they're also getting into making movies. They bought MGM about a year ago, and they are looking to, make some big moves. MGM is, of course, mostly known for the James Bond franchise, but it's also worth mentioning they have Rocky, right? Creed, which is a big deal, especially now that Michael B. Jordan's at the helm, and they're making more money now than ever before. It reminds me of when Disney had Touchstone Pictures in like the 90s, right? And they were producing things like Pulp Fiction. You would never know that is coming from the House of Mouse. That was just the way they were doing it. And while it is a little weird in theaters to feel like you don't know exactly where your meat is coming from, one thing's for sure, as long as they're making good content, nobody cares. And Creed 3 is good content. Air remains to be seen. I know I don't mean to be skeptical about that movie, but like it just looks fine. It just looks like
Dude,
a fine
I
movie.
literally saw that described as like the dad movie to replace your dad movie. And it's
Yeah,
like,
to replace Ford v Ferrari. Yeah, the new Father of the Year movie. You're just like, oh
which I don't
god.
feel is a dad movie. I don't feel like that's a dad movie personally.
I don't
That's a really good
I don't
movie.
either. And I don't think like I don't think Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's new feature is a dad movie either, but I guess they can call it what they want. Why are you aiming for anyway? What are they doing, I guess, Andy? What's next? More Creed stuff. I know they want to try to build a Creed verse. I think I read that
Right.
somewhere. And James Bond, right?
The Creed verse is the other kind of exciting part of the story, is that because of the huge success of Creed 3, and all of the Creed films have been successful, they're going to start the Creed verse, and there's going to be maybe a TV show or two, some more movies. It's good. We'll see. The interesting part, Sylvester Stallone, absent probably from all of this, left back in Philly to not. It's some nasty stuff behind the scenes. The owners of the Rocky and Creed franchise don't want anything to do with Stallone. They essentially pushed out of this third film. We'll kind of see how that goes.
I think Amazon's like in a fine space, like to make stuff. I'm really curious to see. I know they have other properties in Bond, okay, but like childishly, selfishly, I just want to know where Bond's going. I want to know who the next Bond is. I want to know who the next Bond director is. Are they going to promote Michael B. Jordan to studio head like Zack Snyder or James Gunn? Are they just going to lean all the way in and be like, you're the guy? You know, are they picking like a stellar direction? Like one thing's for sure, I think they may need some kind of creative corral to wrangle people under. And for Disney and Marvel, that's Kevin Feige. And for Universal, it's, I don't know, Universal's getting their directors together, Jordan Peele, Christopher Nolan, Daniels. But for Amazon, like they're gonna have to start to try to find a creative structure, and I don't know where that's headed, but it's an exciting time to keep an eye on them now because you know you never know. There's a lot of money there, that's for sure. God, they got a lot of money.
Yeah, and the theaters are happy that they're getting support from a streamer for once, and like as opposed to Netflix, who kind of refuses to have anything in theaters.
Yeah, which is a bummer. God, Knives Out played, Glass Onion played so great in a theater for the 2 weeks. It was in like 600 theaters in the United States. Really wish I could have made it to the big screen, but Netflix very clearly wants you on their stuff. Amazon, not so much. You can go where you want, which I guess is not a bad thing. And speaking of go where you want, we should probably talk about this trailer, right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this, Andy?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. It's time for the trailer park.
Yeah.
Abbreviated.
Perfect. It's briefly abbreviated. Yes. So we're talking about the trailer for The Little Mermaid. I don't know if one of us is supposed to be talking about that. I don't think on the outline either of us were on it, so I'll just jump on it. Disney's new live action offering, The Little Mermaid starring Halle Bailey, is officially coming to theaters. We have a big final trailer for it with lots of bright colors, or at least the best they could do, and more casting information. Javier Bardem is King Triton. Oh God, Melissa McCarthy is Ursula. I don't know the kid that plays Eric. It's some exciting nobody. And I think like Lin-Manuel Miranda is the voice of the crab or something. You know, what do you think, Andy?
So we hadn't seen anything. I was not real impressed with the first couple of trailers. This definitely got me a lot more excited about the property. There's a big kind of ship going down scene that's from, I mean, it's basically shot from the 1989 version. But they're definitely putting in a lot of money in the effects, and some of it looks really good. It sounds really good, like the music. The Halle Bailey's got an amazing voice. The songs might save this feature, but it kind of looks just visually kind of terrible. The underwater effects they look so bad, especially after Avatar: The Way of Water just came out. That's probably going to be the high point of underwater effects. They don't look like they're underwater half the time. So the underwater stuff doesn't look good. There are a ton of effects. We get realistic Sebastian and the fish friend.
Flounder, right?
Flounder, thank you. But it's kind of like Uncanny Valley, where it's like Lion King, where it's like a little too realistic. So we'll see. I think the music is going to save it. Otherwise, it doesn't look great visually.
Yeah. One of my favorite like early calls off script, they don't happen often, but I gotta celebrate them when they do, is when like the very first teaser for this came out. I was like, it looks way too dark. And like Disney's had this problem lately. A lot of their live actions are just like really poor lighting because they're probably in on a green screen set, and you don't really know how to light the scene they're going to be in. So they kind of just light it soft, like, okay, just hit them with, big soft lights and we'll figure it out in post. And like you end up with movies that look really dark for color correction because you're trying to like hide details and imperfections that wouldn't otherwise be in these scenes. And like this was most brutally seen, I think, in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Like, God, that movie looked bad. Like, it doesn't look like anybody knows where they are. Everybody's on set, just kind of looking off in the distance.
7.
Like, yeah, right. Act surprised, act scared, like whatever, like just clunky. And this unfortunately like has the even deeper task of not only taking us to another world, but one that's entirely underwater. DC did this with Aquaman. I never actually saw Aquaman. I think Andy said they was pretty good at what they did, and I think this is kind of the same angle. You kind of just shoot it like you would if they're in air, and then you just kind of animate the hair to look like you're underwater, and that's really the move, right?
Well, in Aquaman, they did a lot of like creating bubbles and stuff, like creating air pockets to talk in that they would walk into, so they wouldn't have to deal with that. So they would, be swimming in the ocean and then all of a sudden walk into an air pocket, and everyone's wet, but at least they're not like floating in water, and then you don't have to animate floating
It's not a
hair
bad
and
idea.
stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be a hit, honestly, because of the
Yeah.
nostalgia and the music like that. I think that's going to be great. If this
Yeah.
did not have that going on, I think it would bomb.
Right. Like it's becoming really apparent that like Disney's smaller live action offerings do not even hold a candle to the big ones, right? Think of like for every like Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin or Little Mermaid that came out, there was a live action Lady and the Tramp that premiered with Disney Plus that nobody ever watched. Robert Zemeckis's Pinocchio, awful, like came out last year, and just did not get like nobody even noticed that movie came out. A lot of times when people ask me, what are you watching for the show this week? I'll tell them it'll be some Disney live action feature. And they're like, really? That's out? Like, yeah, went straight to Disney
surprising
Plus.
everyone.
Like they're barreling forward with what they think will work and won't work, and they're too committed to this style to change. And apparently they've worked out the numbers where this may not look good on screen, but it looks great like in their checkbook, and that's great, right? That's fantastic for the House of Mouse. But like, I don't know, man. I was hoping for something a little bolder. David Lowery's Peter Pan and Wendy, which we talked about last week on the show, same kind of deal. Like I was like, David Lowery, director of The Green Knight. Like, okay, we might be going somewhere new, and like straight to Disney Plus. Doesn't seem like they've got any confidence in it at all. Like just another snoozer of a Disney live action. Disappointing from the House of Mouse, in my opinion. Any other thoughts on this, Andy?
We'll just wait and see how it does and how it's received. I think it's probably gonna get over the hump. I think it's gonna be successful because of like I said, the music, the singing, the nostalgia. But a lot of it is looks kind of questionable.
Yeah, it really does. We'll probably end up watching it for the show. Keep it here on Off Script for more. With that, we have much bigger fish to. No, that turned out to be a pun, and I stumbled over it. Much bigger things to talk about. All right, bigger than Little Mermaid, bigger than Scream 6. It's well, Andy, you want to tell people what it is?
2023 Oscars.
Perfect.
Would have been easier to say Oscars 2023, but here we are.
Whatever.
The
Oscars.
The Oscars happened a little over a week ago on March 12th or whatever it was in the Dolby Theater. Big night, Hollywood's biggest night, the glitz and glamour of the awards, the winners, the losers. We're here to talk about all of them. The big winner overall, I think 7 awards won, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Big surprise and not surprise at the same time. This movie had a ton of buzz and a lot of momentum going in, but you never know. A lot of times there's upsets, a lot of times there's head scratching decisions, and that kind of wasn't the way for most of this. But there were some snubs as well. There were some people that walked away empty-handed, some franchises that walked away empty-handed. We're going to get into all that. Zach, how should we start?
I think we should start with talking about 2023 is a year in film, because Andy and I watched a lot of movies for this podcast, and one of the things I think, well, 2022 really is what the Oscars are covering, but one of the things I think really that was so interesting about being at the movies last year was how many great features were coming out. Coming out of the pandemic, right? Everything slowed down in Hollywood, and people were starting to get tired of the same old, same old. Marvel had just wrapped up with Endgame. Like everything felt like it was reaching this, like, I don't know, we were stepping into something new, and then COVID happened, and that shut down Hollywood, and everybody stopped for 2 years and had to pivot and figure out what they were doing next. In that time, a lot of creative scripts came out, right? And a lot of creative people had to sit on ideas and kind of stew on what they could do. And I think it made for like a really, really great 2022 at the movies, like a lot of really great features. I remember 2020 at the Oscars was like so lame. And every year it seems like the picks were fine, but they weren't that great. But like this year, there were some really stellar standouts. As much as I can't believe like the number of awards that went to the big winner, like I also cannot believe the number of snubs. Like this snub sheet reads like a rap sheet of like some of the best talent in the business right now. It's crazy.
I was happy for most of the snubs.
But yeah, I mean, me too. And me too, because on our script we get it right, but a lot of people don't. All right, and that's why we're here to help them figure it out. And so we need to talk about what went down. Now, Andy and I have done a lot of Oscar episodes. All right, if there's one thing we know for sure is that it's perfect every time, never goes wrong. So we're gonna move through these efficiently. I'm not gonna talk too long, like I have with this intro. And we're just gonna jump into it. Where did we start, Andy? We started at the bottom of the list and work our way up. Started best picture and work our way down. Give the people what they want.
Let's start at best picture and work through those. The big winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert, otherwise known as Daniels, won. Everyone thought this movie was going to win. Had tons of momentum behind it, but you never know. And it's a long road to the Oscars. You know, these movies campaign for months, and it changes seemingly every week. Where it's like, well, this movie's favored. No, that movie's favored. Just a reminder: the other nominees: All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. So a huge slate of films, some very recognizable directors and brand new directors won this Best Picture.
I feel like the one I really thought might scoop this from Everything Everywhere was going to be maybe The Banshees of Inisherin. Like a lot of great talent in here, including a Steven Spielberg picture, an incredible new feature from Todd Field with Tar, Top Gun: Maverick. I think a lot of people thought should win because that's the big, bold American one. That's great.
The savior of cinema.
Yeah, but like Banshees was subtle, right? It is a dark comedy and it's thoughtful and it's got a lot of subtext. It really expects the viewer to kind of lean in to kind of get where it's coming from. And a lot of people thought that was going to have like a big showing this year, especially considering the number of nominations it had. But I was really pleased to see Everything Everywhere scoop Best Picture. For Best Director, also Everything Everywhere All at Once for Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, which is crazy. Scheinert, I think, is what it is. The other contenders were Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh, The Fablemans, Spielberg, Tar, Todd Field, newcomer, and Triangle of Sadness, Ruben Östlund, who's put out quite a few foreign features that we've really enjoyed, but did not quite get over the hump. What do you think, Andy?
I love that they won this. Definitely very deserving. But this is the thing that I thought Spielberg would actually win. Excuse me. Because Spielberg. A lot of times,
how could he not?
Yeah, he's Spielberg, and the Oscars a lot of times is about rewarding a career and rewarding. It's almost like a lifetime achievement kind of thing. And this is the one where I thought they would give it to Spielberg because he's Spielberg and he has such a legacy and he's meant so much to the industry. But The Fablemans has just not been just well received. It hasn't been a film that audiences just love and take. It's not like kind of Coda the way that was last year. Like it's kind of a heartwarming story. People just didn't get behind the film, and I think that's why he didn't win it.
The Fumblemans. I agree. Like it just doesn't seem like
there we
really
go
went for it. The
the bag.
Martin McDonagh also, like, I think people thought Banshees of Inisherin might scoop it, but he won for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri just a few years ago. I'm glad to see Daniel's taking it. Who won Best Actor?
This went to Brendan Fraser for The Whale. It was between him and Austin Butler for Elvis. Those were the two contenders. Other nominees were Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Bill Nighy for Living, and Paul Mescal for in After Sun. I really wanted Austin Butler to win this, but a lot of what the Oscars are about is legacy, and Brendan Fraser has this great comeback story. He started his career in the 90s, became a big star, and then was kind of persona non grata for like 10-15 years, is having this great comeback. And so a lot of times whoever has the best narrative wins, and he's got a great narrative. And also Austin Butler is just too new and too young. This is really the first film anyone knows him from, and give him a few more years, another 10 years, a few more roles, he'll win one as well. But again, it's about rewarding a career, rewarding legacy, and I think that's why Brendan Fraser won.
Yeah, I think first off, Fraser is great in The Whale. We watched it. He's really tremendous in it. But Butler is just such a bolt of lightning in Best in Elvis. And additionally, I think Colin Farrell thought Banshees of Inisherin might get one as well here because he's really wonderful as
He was
Podrick.
in the running for a
But
while too. Yeah.
yeah, but like Andy's right. Like I think if this year more than anything, it's worth noting that yeah, there may be a bit of a legacy thing going on at the Academy Awards. There's always more time for the young up and coming star who just caught a nomination off his first big feature to grab another one, right? But for somebody who's been gone a while and is just maybe coming around and is kind of getting their big moment in the sun, somebody who's put in years of work, I think it's a lot easier to give them the award because they may not have more time to get it again. This might be the last chance. And that doesn't necessarily extend to Best Actress in the Leading Role, of course, with Michelle Yeoh winning for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle's a bombshell talent, always has been, but I think understated because a lot of her work has been either in foreign cinema or it's been in things like action features, right? That maybe she doesn't get so much attention in. But it's really cool to see her like really come out of her shell in Everything Everywhere and be such a multifaceted character like Evelyn Wang is. Other nominees were Kate Blanchett and Tar, which I really thought she might get it. I really thought Kate Blanchett
Me
might get
too.
it for
Me
Tar.
too.
It might be her best performance of her career. Tremendous if you haven't seen it. Anna de Armas and Blonde, a show favorite. Andrea Riseborough and To Leslie and Michelle Williamson, The Fablemans. All winners in our hearts, of course. But if only one could take it, it's Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, again, I thought Kate Blanchett might take this. Again, people are calling, her performances Lydia Tarr performance of the decade, like you said, best performance of her career. It is a great role. But I think that's also a movie that a lot of people just didn't get behind. Tar's a challenging work. It's 2 hours 40 minutes. It's a good movie. It's complex. And she definitely could have easily won, and you wouldn't have been upset. But it's great to see Michelle Yeoh win. And again, this is part of the momentum of the evening, like because everything everywhere won a few other awards leading up to this, and so it kind of gets that momentum going. And it's great to see Michelle Yeoh win this. Only the second woman of color to win this in the 95 years of the Oscars, which is kind of a depressing statistic, but it's a step in the right direction. And
Huge
Halle
win.
Berry. Halle Berry, who actually was the first person to win, first person of color to win, actually handed her the award. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely knew what they were doing, especially considering who handed Best Actor their award, which you should read because I just did Best Actress, right?
The winner, no surprise here in Best Supporting Actor was Ke Huy Quan, who played Waymond in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Again, this was a night all for this movie. Other nominees were Brendan Gleeson for the Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans, and Barry Keoghan, which I finally know how to say his name, in the Banshees of
Wow.
Inisherin.
There's the G in there,
Only,
Keoghan?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Ke Huy Quan, again, he's great in the movie, but he also has this incredible comeback story of him and his family fled Vietnam, lived in a refugee camp, moved to LA in the late 70s. He shows up to this audition and just kind of he didn't even know who Spielberg and Harrison Ford were because their family couldn't afford to go to the movies. He ends up showing up to this audition, having a lot of early success in the 80s and kind of kid and teen roles, and then really struggled for the next 20 years or so to get any acting work. And then he gets this role, and it's this great comeback story. And so it was really great to see him win. I didn't see who handed him an award. Was it Harrison Ford?
Oh God, dude! Harrison Ford hands him the award. He gets up. Well, hold on, I take it back. Harrison Ford didn't hand him this award. Harrison Ford handed him the award during Best Picture, I think. Harrison Ford presented that. He gets up, hugs him, right? Goes to the hug, and the camera immediately cuts to Spielberg. It was so perfect. I couldn't believe how well directed. It was so perfect. Like, oh
Nice.
my God! Cuts back to two of them hugging. Oh man. Anyway, yes. Big win for Kei Kwan. It's a bit of a legacy thing, right? Like, and I think that's the fan favorite. Everybody wanted him to win. Like, everybody did. There were some tremendous performances aside. Brendan Gleeson's Colm is like really understated. Barry Keoghan's Keoghan, I'm gonna have to get that right, is always a delight. But I mean, like far and away, I think was the fan favorite. Everybody wanted Short Round to win an Oscar, and like we've done it, folks. And it's because he's good, by the way. Like not just because he played Short Round. If you haven't seen it, there's a reason Everything Everywhere is winning all these awards, including Best Actress in a Supporting Role, going interestingly to Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this is interesting because she was also nominated alongside her co-star Stephanie Hsu in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Both of them nominated, 2 actresses, 1 movie, 1 category, and often that can split the vote. And for what it's worth, I think Andy and I both thought Stephanie Hsu was going to walk away with this one. She plays Jobu Tupaki, the big bad in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Jamie Lee Curtis is great as Deidre Bobidra, and she's got some emotion in the third act, but it just felt like Stephanie Hsu was such a bolt of lightning in this movie. Other nominees were Carrie Condon and Banshees of Inisherin, who I think was a big fan favorite. A lot of people thought she was going to walk away with it. Hong Chow in The Whale, likely the best performance in The Whale, even though Brendan Fraser caught Best Actor this year for it. And heartbreakingly, Angela Bassett in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, who's super good, but like, man, she's put in a lot of great performances, and it would have been actually really cool to see her walk away with it. What do you think, Andy?
So Angela Bassett was kind of the front runner for this. A lot of people thought she was going to take it. She hasn't been nominated in almost 30 years. She was last nominated for What's Love Got to Do with It, the Tina Turner biopic from the 90s. Hasn't had a nomination since. But the Academy kind of doesn't like Marvel to win these things. They haven't been very warm on comic book movies, and no one's won an acting Oscar for a Marvel movie yet. And so I think that was kind of working against it. And she's great in that movie, but I just don't think the Academy got behind her. I was a little surprised to see that Jamie Lee Curtis won. Again, another kind of legacy story. She's a darling of the industry. She's been working in it for 40 years. She's Laurie Strode. She's in the original Halloween. Yeah. She's been an advocate for the business, for film. She's been campaigning hard for this movie. And again, a little bit like Austin Butler, Stephanie Hsu will have lots of opportunity to win an Oscar. But so I wasn't surprised that Jamie Lee Curtis won it.
Yeah, in that sense. Neither. What do you want to pick from here? Now, we're breaking into interesting
ones. So best costume, I was a little surprised by this. It went to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and other nominees, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elvis, Babylon, Miss Harris Goes to Paris. I thought every other movie besides Black Panther kind of deserved this. Like the costumes in Elvis are incredible.
Come on now.
In Babylon, like I this is them throwing Marvel a bone. That's how I felt about this.
Okay, hold on. I can speak to this. I actually watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever the Saturday before the Oscars aired on Sunday, the day before. Christine and I, we watched it. She'd never seen it. For what it's worth, Angela Bassett's great. The costuming really is stunning, man. There's a lot of outfits in that movie where all of it looks like it fell right out of like a fashion designer magazine, like just the best stuff, right? Like really unique patterns on fabrics. They're like going up into wild colors, and not just on like the Wakanda side. They go to Haiti, they go to Mexico, they go to Namor's like underwater thing. They got all of that. Like they've got the multiple tribes out in Wakanda, like of the different kind of areas of the kingdom who all have their own people. Like it is pretty stunning costuming. Like it isn't a Marvel movie, and I think that feels a little hokey, but like it's also a Ryan Coogler film. All right, it's also a very heartfelt tribute to oh my god, not Ryan Coogler, Chadwick Boseman, and but I get it. At the same time, it does look a little odd on the list. Like it really does stand out as like, really Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but like I'm telling you, the costumes are pretty dope. Like they really are. Right. I do want to talk about best original score. I can skip over best sound, which I probably shouldn't, which went to Top Gun Maverick. It's only award of the night, but it's great sound in that movie. I'm not a sound guy, but best original score goes to All Quiet on the Western Front, which is very earth rattling, rumbly deep.
One of the other big winners of the night, as I was going to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front goes on to win a handful here. We haven't gotten to them yet, but just wait. Other nominees included The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, John Williams, big score, and the one that really felt like the brutal snub is Babylon. God, how do you not give the Oscar to Babylon? That score is so good, man. One of the few I've gone back and listened to since seeing the film. The Babylon score is excellent. Go check out Voodoo Mama. It's on Spotify. Anyway, Andy, what do you think?
No, I was really disappointed with this, or surprised by it as well. I thought Babylon was the best score, and also the score to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought was phenomenal. All Quiet on the Western Front. It has this really kind of haunting theme. This like bam, 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 and it just like plays over and over through. But that's all it does. It's not really that memorable
Really
outside
simple.
of
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas Babylon's this whole like 3 hour giant jazz number, like that's great soundtrack. I listen to that all the time. Same thing with Everything Everywhere, but again, really surprised that it won, but it kind of had momentum.
Yeah, and I think All Quiet played big on screen. Like that's the thing. You got these, young boys walking through the field, and they're like, "We're going to war," and then you hear this like horrifying electronic like roar of like, like, hey, don't get me wrong, it's effective in the movie, but like, not who I would have voted for, like first choice, like, but solid all the same. Do we need to talk about why sequels are getting best adapted screenplay nominations now? Was that always a thing?
I don't remember if it always was, but apparently a sequel is considered an adapted screenplay, not an original screenplay, because the characters already exist in another movie or it's based off a previous movie, which is kind of weird. But anyways, that is what it is, and that really that affected two of the nominees, Glass Onion and Top Gun Maverick, are both not considered original screenplays. But this Oscar went to Women Talking, to Sarah Polley for that screenplay. That's something we definitely want to watch for the show. I've heard nothing but great things about that. It just it's a little movie that didn't get a lot of attention.
Nice. Best original screenplay went to Everything Ever All at Once. I think super fitting, right? Like if you've seen the film, I could think of few scripts as original as that one, especially considering the breadth of the title, right? Everything Ever All at Once is kind of an endless, boundless opportunity of creativity. Like where do you go with that? And I think if anybody nailed it, it's them. Other nominees included The Banshees of Inisherin, The Fableman's Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. What do you got, Andy? What's next?
Animated went to Guillermo del Toro for Pinocchio. No surprise there. It was a kind of a weak year in that sense. Pixar didn't turn out anything super special like they do. Turning Red was also nominated, which is a good film, but like Lightyear, which is this is not a really great film.
Yeah,
but good to see Guillermo del Toro win his third Oscar. Best original song went to Natu Natu from RRR. It was nice to see that.
Thank God.
And they did the big dance number on stage. It was good. Best international feature film went to All Quiet on the Western Front. This was the front runner. I mean, it was nominated for best film as well. So was pretty sure it was going to win that. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think that was the one I thought was going to win too. I mean, it's the only one I saw, but I felt really confident about it. That movie's, listen, All Quiet on the Western Front's a solid feature. Like it really is. It is not a bad movie. A lot of people were dunking on it on Twitter because they were like, what's this German movie winning a bunch of Academy Awards? Like, okay, hold on, easy. It's a good movie. It's on Netflix. You should go check it out. It's grisly, man. It reminds me of Saving Private Ryan. Best makeup and hairstyling went to The Whale. Obviously, Brendan Fraser's fat suit was a lot of work, and I totally respect that, but still surprised. The nominees included All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman sneaking into here. Patman almost got himself an Oscar, at least for the makeup. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, honestly a surprise. This one didn't do better too, but it is an honor to be nominated in Elvis, which I also thought might get it because Austin Butler does kind of almost look like Elvis. Best production design went to All Quiet on the Western Front. A lot of people dunked on this too. Must be hard to design a trench. It's more than that. All right, let's not be mean.
It's lots of trenches. Oh my god,
it's lots of trenches.
It's recreating trench warfare.
Yeah, there's a scene where our lead stabs a soldier and watches him bleed out for 8 minutes, and like it's brutal, man. Like, come on, it's not all just like, oh, it's your trench. Like, it's more than that. Other nominees included Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fablemans. I'm noticing a lot of Elvis and a lot of not winning, which is crazy because like it's rare you see a movie nominated so much and not get any movement.
Yeah, I really thought it would get something, particularly best makeup and hairstyle. I was really surprised I went to The Whale because I felt like every other movie on that list did it a bit better.
Yeah, had
The
more
Whale,
people to cover.
The
Like
Whale
more.
again is The Whale is like 3 or 4 actors. Yes, he's got the fat suit, but Elvis had
Yeah, it's
a
one
ton of
set.
like looks in costume change. Wakanda Forever, tons of different makeup. All quite. I mean, everything else I think probably deserved it, especially Elvis.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Avatar: The Way of Water wins Best Visual Effects. No surprise there. That wasn't really competition for that. That's really all the main ones. Best cinematography went to All Quiet on the Western Front, and then film editing went to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That about wraps it up. Overall, and by the way, by wraps it up, I mean on the winners. We're gonna get to the snubs in a second, but overall, again, surprised at how many like big nominees won nothing. Banshees of Inisherin gets nothing. Elvis gets nothing. You know, like man, it just goes to show
You
if you have a year
lose,
where like
sir.
one movie is not, yeah, one movie's nominated. Good day, sir. One movie's nominated for like 7 Oscars. That does not mean anything. Like it's not just to be nominated, but like that does not mean you won. And there's no better way to say it than probably 2023. On the one hand, Everything Everywhere does incredible. On the other hand, boy, the snubs, which I think is the perfect place to jump into the snubs. Who are we looking at, Andy? Who got destroyed this year? Because normally it's the small studios.
Well,
Normally it's the crappy efforts, but like they were all good this year.
yeah, it was some of the bigger names we know. The Fablemans, Steven Spielberg, Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh, been in the industry 20 years. And then Elvis, Baz Luhrmann, another Hollywood name. These were great films. I'm told The Fablemans is good. Now I don't have to watch it. That's what I said. It didn't win anything. Don't have to watch it. But it's really surprising because a lot of times this happened before where the Oscars vote for a name. They vote for who's recognized, who's kind of an institution. And this year, the big awards went to 2 filmmakers, Daniels, who are relatively unknown. This is only their second feature. No one really knows who they are, and they made this incredible original film. But the big names kind of lost out, Angela Bassett among them.
Yeah. It's not all bad. Kate Blanchett obviously did not win for Tar, but that would have been her 3rd Oscar. Which is like obviously it's a fantastic performance and probably won an Oscar for it, but like you can understand that, why not give it to somebody new? Like Kate Blanchett wins again, like she's already won twice. It's not winning once is a huge achievement. Spielberg, kind of the same beast, right? Like Spielberg can take an L. Like it's not going to hurt his feelings too bad. Yeah, it's his life and his life's work, and his Fableman's based on his childhood and his parents, and like it's totally great. But like also heralding in new people isn't bad. And the Oscars like kind of walk this fine line of like having just enough nominees in this year that felt new and exciting. Austin Butler, Stephanie Hsu, Hong Chow, but also like awarding people who have been here a while, like and have really put in efforts. And I think in that way, it's a good reminder back to that old thing that Hollywood, loves to vote for itself. Like it really does in this case. Like the Oscars, I think are no better. The Oscars 2022, 2023 are no better show of like them, giving out to people that they feel like really deserve it. One more thing I wanted to mention, James Cameron and Tom Cruise both didn't show up, which is like really funny. I think like the only reason those guys didn't show up is because they couldn't stand the camera being on them when they lose. Like honestly, right? There's no other reason you don't come to that. It's the Oscars. Like these two heralds of film, right? Titans of cinema. Tom Cruise gets in trouble for screaming at a guy on the set of Top Gun because you got to wear your face mask and we're leading the way for Hollywood, and you don't show up on film's biggest night. It's because you couldn't stand the thought of losing. It's funny.
Yeah, that is really funny. Like if you thought you were gonna win anything worthwhile, you would have shown up. Like if Top Gun or Avatar were in the running for Best Picture. Also, Tom Cruise. Some people felt he was snubbed for a Best Actor nom for Top Gun Maverick. I don't think he was snubbed. I mean, he's great in that role.
He's Tom Cruise.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's no Brendan Fraser.
Or no, I should clarify when I say he's Tom Cruise. In the movie, he's just playing Tom Cruise. You're never looking at Maverick and thinking, boy, that's Pete Mitchell Maverick, who's been flying for years. He's Tom Cruise the whole movie. He never breaks character out of being Tom Cruise. He's just Tom Cruise. Like, which is fine, and he's exciting, but it's like Ethan Hunt's the same thing. You're not convinced you're looking at like Lifetime's agent Ethan Hunt. You're just watching the new Tom Cruise movie. He doesn't get lost in the character. I never like fail to see Tom Cruise and start to see somebody else. Like his light as a celebrity like just outshines his ability as like an actual charismatic, well, I shouldn't say charismatic, as like a blending, an actor who blends into a script. He can't. Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio almost has the same problem, but he can still kind of get there. Like there's a couple features, Leo, you'll lose him. Wolf of Wall Street, even if he does the hair, right? Like he still kind of comes across as Jordan Belfort. You lose him in there, but Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, and I love Tom Cruise, but like that's not what Best Actor's about. It's not about being a charismatic Tom Cruise. It's about being anybody who isn't Tom Cruise, right? Like he could have got an Oscar nom for playing Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder. That you wouldn't even know it was him. That's losing Tom Cruise. That's it. Like if you could do that, right? It's like Mike Myers playing goofy characters. Like, anyway, sorry, that's my Tom Cruise rant. Love Tom Cruise. I have any problems with Tom Cruise, but like, come on, let's not kid ourselves. He's not putting out Academy Award worthy performances.
Yeah, Top Gun, I think, was thrown a little bit of a bone for best sound. It does have great sound, but I also think people don't really know what great sound is, and you just hear planes, and that's like, good enough. But sure, I mean, it could have easily won maybe editing, or it was nominated for several awards. Like there were some other things it could have won.
Yeah, sound gets lumped in, and shamelessly, I just did this on the show where I was like, I talk about sound. I did this 20 minutes ago. I talk about sound, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah, it's like film editing or cinematography. Like 99% of the people, even casually watching the awards, have no idea what they are and don't care, right? You just kind of throw it to, oh, this movie looked good. This movie had good pacing, right? This movie sounded great. Like it does. It almost feels like a little bit of a concession, but it's fine. But yeah, it's funny that two of cinema's like biggest names just could not stand the thought of taking an L live on tape. Anyway, with that, we should probably wrap the show. Any other, I guess, like overarching thoughts about the Oscars this year, Andy? Any final thoughts? Like I said at the open, I think it's pretty tremendous compared to the last few years. That's my take. What do you got?
It was nice to see them, I think, get it right for the most part. Because a lot of times, you have years like where Moonlight won Best Picture, and then you have the very next year, the Green Book wins Best Picture. And so this year, it seems like the people in the films that deserved the awards got them for a change, because that doesn't always happen.
No, it really doesn't. And like for what it's worth, yeah, like Everything Everywhere was a fan favorite. It's a tremendous feature. If you haven't seen it, please go do. Along with Banshees, and along with Top Gun, right? And everybody else on here, Elvis, The Whale. And if you want to know what we thought about any of these features, good news, we've already reviewed them. All you got to do is go to your favorite place where Off Script is, and subscribe and go back and look at our old episodes and see what we thought. We talked about all these features. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and I'll get to the other places in just a second. But before all that, Andy, what are we watching next week?
John Wick Chapter 4, the big action movie, is back. Keanu Reeves is back. This was actually delayed a full year. It's supposed to come out last spring, but it's here now. It comes out this Friday. Theaters only. Set aside a lot of time because it is nearly 3 hours long, but it's supposed to be full of action. It's been getting some really positive buzz and reviews, so we'll be back with that. And possibly Shazam Fury of the Gods, or we might find something else to watch because I've already seen it and Zach doesn't really want to watch it. So we might find something else, but we might end up doing Shazam.
First off, it's probably worth me just going over and watching it. Right. And at least for the people out there who don't want to see it, they can at least hear what I thought and take something away. And secondly, shamelessly, that movie's going to get clicks, man. Like if I put Shazam on the YouTube thumbnail, the more people are going to click on that than if I put Woman Talking on there, which we should watch. And I would like to watch that. But Shazam's out. I'll suck it up and watch Shazam. John Wick, at least, I think will be exciting. I have not seen any of the previous John Wick movies. I tried to watch John Wick 1 a couple times. That movie's way more boring in the slow bits than people remember. The action's fun.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen 2 or 3. And at this point, Andy's told me, don't go for it. Just go in blind. We'll have a good split review. So from somebody who hasn't seen it, from somebody who has next week,
John Wick Chapter 4.
If you
If you
if you
enjoy,
haven't
go ahead.
seen any of if you haven't seen any of the John Wick films, just start with the second one. That's the second one's probably the best one. Third one's
Yeah.
a little absurd, but the second one will you'll get the gist, because it really, after the success of the first one, then they upped the budget, and like the script is better, the action's better, Keanu's better. Like it's and it gets more into like the quote unquote lore of the whole assassin universe. Start with the second one if you haven't seen any.
Yeah. Also, my nightmare for John Wick 4 this week is I will love the action and I will be bored to tears by plot that I don't understand. Like that will be the worst scenario. So hopefully it won't be that. I'll let you know how it is from a newcomer perspective, and you'll let you know as a series vet as of this year when you watch them, right? So with that, that's the show. That's Off Script episode 209. If you like what we're doing here, if you like the show, if you want to find out more about Off Script, or what we're watching next week, or maybe check out some old reviews, things we've covered in the past. So the easiest way to do that is to just follow us on any social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're around. We're on YouTube, where we upload our live streams every Tuesday when we do them. We're on Facebook, where we actually do live stream every Tuesday right around 5 p.m. CST. And we're on all the usual podcast outlets: iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia, Amazon, right? We're around. We're on the internet on a website. Good God, this is turning into a fumble. I'm fumbling, Andy.
Offscriptfilmreview.com.
Offscriptfilmreview.com. Yes.
Christ.
You can write correspondence. I think offscriptfilmreview.com. With that, I should wrap the show. Thanks for listening to episode 209 of Offscript. I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.